Hello and welcome to the Vegan Corner. This video is for one of our favorite Italian breads, Focaccia. Now, just because this recipe requires no kneading, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's easier than other full kneading recipes. In fact, no-knead bread making does require a few tricks to be properly tackled, and we are about to share those simple secrets with you. If you are interested in how to make a killer Italian focaccia without breaking a sweat, keep watching and you'll get to the bottom of it. The ingredient list is in the description below the video. To begin with, place the flour and the yeast into a bowl and stir them with a whisk. I don't like to add salt to breads in general, as I come from a region of Italy where salt is never used in traditional bread. However, you are free to add it and mix it into the flour if you wish to. Next, add in all the water and mix the ingredients with a spatula until you obtain a rough, sticky dough. If you want to make a more whole focaccia, you can substitute 1/3 of the flour with all wheat flour. Now, you'd be surprised to hear that there is actually a lot of kneading involved in no-knead recipes. The important detail is that it is not going to be done by you, but by the yeast over the many hours of rising time. This is why it is mandatory to let the dough rise for a minimum of 12 hours, without trying to speed up the process. The result of not allowing the yeast to do its magic will likely be a flat bread with a terrible sticky crumb, a poor crust, and most important of all, very little flavor profile. Is that what you want from a bread? I'd rather wait and enjoy some killer focaccia. You can now cover the bowl with cling film and keep it at room temperature for a minimum of 12 hours and an absolute maximum of 18 hours. This will allow the dough to rise peacefully. Once the rising time has elapsed, preheat the oven to 220 degrees Celsius, which is about 430 degrees Fahrenheit. You can now prepare the emulsion for the focaccia by simply mixing the ingredients together. This is not technically an emulsion, because there is no oil involved. Anyway, this is how the dough will look after the rising time. Now line a baking tray with greaseproof paper and sprinkle it with some flour. Remove the dough from the bowl using a flexible pastry scraper or a spatula and pour it into the baking tray. Grease your fingers and press your fingertips into the dough to create the classic focaccia dimples. Next, randomly pour the herbs mixed with water, the so-called emulsion, over the focaccia and then press some of it into the dimples you made a couple of seconds ago. It is now time to sprinkle some salt over the dough to obtain a final, tastier focaccia. Cover the tray with aluminium foil, chuck it into the oven and cook the bread for exactly 30 minutes. Once the time has elapsed, take the tray out of the oven and remove the foil. Place the tray without the foil back into the oven and cook the focaccia for an additional 10 minutes, remembering to rotate the tray halfway through the cooking time to allow for even browning. Also remember to let breads of any sort to cool down completely on a cooling rack before slicing them. And this is how this no-knead focaccia will look like once the cooking time has elapsed, with a golden crust and a soft and wildly bubbly open crumb. We frequently see people proposing recipes for breads, pizzas and other similar products, but judging from their words and final results, it is clear to us that they have no idea about how baking works. Well, the good thing is that you don't need to know how baking works to make some seriously great bread. You simply have to follow the right recipe and hopefully you will find this one to be a phenomenal one. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up before moving on to the next recipe.